Let me now bring on board KR Choksey, Managing Director of KR Choksey Securities. Devin, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Devin, let's start with the mood point, and the mood point is Maruti. What to your mind has done the trick for Maruti of late?
Yeah, Nikun, good morning. Well, I think the few things which have definitely helped Maruti for, I think, the larger performance as far as, I think, the stock price is concerned. Of course, I think it has bounced back from the problem of the strike, and thereafter, I think, loss of production. From there, it has bounced back. So I think the jump is seen a little larger. But more importantly, some of its models have definitely started contributing well, particularly the Ertiga model, and some of the diesel models have actually, I think, performed well. The festive season has recorded fantastic amount of volume numbers, even for the new launch of Alto 800. So for all put together, you find that I think Maruti kind of company has actually, I think, started showing up performance on the volume terms, and that's what is more important. That if the consumer demand continues to come in, and if the auto companies like Maruti, Bajaj Auto, if they continue to find attraction of the buyers into the market, then probably one would think little more positive that going forward, if when the rate of interest comes down or starts coming down, at that point of time, I think the demand would sustain and once again come back into the double digit. And that's where I think probably market has started liking the Maruti once again, and so is case with Bajaj Auto. I'm not totally surprised. I think it has bounced back from lower levels. That is why the jump is seen larger. But otherwise, I think the company has steadied at this level, as I would call it.
Okay, another stock which is going to be in focus today is United Spirits. The open offer price has now been frozen at 1440 rupees per share, and the open offer is going to kickstart on January 7th and close on January 18th. A loss of about 2% coming in for United Spirits. 1752 is where the stock shut shop for the day. Devin, your call on United Spirits now, and does it seem like all the fuzz after the deal announcement is over, or is there still headroom in the stock?
Well, I think chances of stock going up further from the current levels, I think, would depend largely on if they revise the open offer prices, but which is not likely to happen. So to my mind, I don't think that the headroom is available immediately. Maybe I think what you saw as a jump in the stock price was largely also attributed to some part of the short covering which was there into the system, and that's where I think the stock price flared up. But to my mind, I think it is now cooling down, and I'm not too sure whether it will come down to the open offer price, but certainly I think it has started cooling down. No take on this particular counter as far as the fresh buying is concerned, but certainly have been telling our clients that those who are holding this particular stock, they must book some part of the profit and start sitting on cash. If at all opportunity comes at the lower level for some reason, I think one could consider it at that point of time, but otherwise start sitting on cash from this counter.
Devin, what moves are you making now that Q2 numbers are out?
Well, Nikunj, I think the few things on which our eyes are on, certainly I think we believe that the market holds the potential to go up, and it would probably go up after a few events, I think, comes into the actual. You would probably, I think, want to see how the US fiscal cliff resolution gets, I think, passed through. To my mind, I think that holds a lot of significance, because fiscal cliff resolution, when it gets passed through, which is likely to get passed through, in such situation, I think dollar in the near term may remain under some kind of a pressure, and vis-a-vis dollar, when rupee starts appreciating, then probably I think you would see the larger effect coming onto the Indian markets. From the market point of view, you would also attract good amount of money coming into the market if rupee shows the signs of appreciation. The second point is about, I think, the impact coming onto the current account deficit and fiscal deficit. That would once again bring a lot of confidence back into the Indian system, and people waiting on the shore probably would like to put money back into the markets, FDI as well as FI investment. And last but not the least, the the reforms which are holding into the parliament at this point of time, they are likely to get through, barring the FDI in detail. To my mind, I think that would once again bring the confidence back into the market. So these are few things on which I'm counting on the possibilities of the market to go up. As of now, I believe that we should be holding somewhere around between 5500 to 5700, and should a couple of these particular events pass through, you would probably see the market going about to 5900 levels subsequently, or eventually somewhere in the middle of January or so. So that's where I think our confidence is coming from.
Okay, let's talk stocks. And yesterday, while the index closed in soft, a sub 5600 close, and failed attempts really to actually even touch that level. The bigger damage came in for the broader markets, with almost a 1% cut coming in for both the mid and the small cap indices. And one such drag on the indices, on the broader markets that is, was Tata Global Beverages. Some brokerage downgrades as well coming in, and a lot of concerns now being raised in terms of the valuation and, more importantly, what Starbucks would actually bring on the table for Tata Global Beverages. Devan, how would you rate Tata Global Beverages fundamentally now at a price level of 164?
Once again, I think the valuation, as you rightly made a point, I think is staying on the higher side. And certainly Starbuck kind of a brand definitely would allow the company to command better premium over the other FMCG players in a way. But the fact is that I think it is already scaled up, I think, to a greater extent at this point of time. I would think that the market would probably wait for some more correction before they buy into this particular stock. I would probably want to buy Tata Global somewhere around close to 140, 150 range. I think it is slightly off at this point of time from that range. Within that range, if it is available, certainly I think would start accumulating Tata Global and stay invested with the company. Because believe that I think the spread of Starbucks ultimately should play good for the company like Tata Global eventually, as far as the bottom line performance is concerned. But yes, must caution that it's not likely to happen in next 12 months. Probably I think we'll have to wait beyond 12 months. That is why I want to buy at lower levels.
Have you done some numbers on what could be the Starbucks impact? Because according to my estimates, Starbucks will add only 1 rupee to Tata Global Beverages EPS in FY15. Now that's far-fetched. That's like 2 years away.
Yes, Nikunj, I think you're so right. I think when you start calculating numbers, probably I think you don't get enough conviction that I think the Starbucks would continue to add more amount of bottom line profit. But the fact remains that I think the profits would come at the same time when you probably I think have a larger amount of population of the stores coming in. And that's where I think will have to wait and see how exactly it turns out to be. But more importantly, with a brand like Starbucks getting operated, probably I think you would get the kind of a premium which otherwise I think is expected out of this particular brand. So on that hope, I think one would like to buy at lower levels. I do agree that on the EPS side, if you start calculating numbers, you would find that the stock is definitely expensive. But you would like to buy a brand. That's where I think you are basically trying to capture this particular price at lower levels. Maybe one will have to look at the top line in this case, at least in a couple of years from now, and then probably start talking about the bottom line performance coming in from this venture.
Devan, at the current juncture, after the Dunkin' Donut rollout, do you think Jubilant Foodworks is priced to perfection?
Always difficult to I think make this call, Nikunj. I think particularly more because when in marketplace you don't have the similar kind of other listed companies, and when there is an appetite coming in from funds, I think to buy into this kind of a counter into the portfolio, always I think they pay premium to this counter, and I have been somewhat bemused to find I think this kind of premium continuing for this kind of counter. I don't want to I think chase the high valuation. Probably I think would like to wait and see how other companies come up, and particularly I was making a point of Tata Global. So at such point of time, I think if you get your price into a company like Tata Global, where you get I think the brand also along with, you may probably want to buy that company instead of chasing a high price Jubilant at this point of time. To my mind, I think it is probably factoring into the valuation at which I think the stock should be trading.
Devan, what is fueling price action and volume action in JP Associates? JP Associates this year is up 70%. Now, if I look at the dynamics for JP Associates, the core business has not recovered, and they still have not managed to sell 51% stake in their cement business.
No, Nikunj, honestly, no idea about I think this particular counter where exactly the volume and the price action is happening. I think would pass by I think on this subject.
One stock which you track with a magnifying glass, and that stock has done rather well this year, IDFC. IDFC this year has appreciated by 65% plus. Good call. Thank you for that call. Do you think in the near term IDFC now could struggle, and it will be difficult for IDFC to cross 200 rupees?
Well, Nikunj, I think it all depends as to what exactly I think you want to look at this company from. See, 60,000 crore worth of loan book that this company is having. To my mind, I think in next 4 to 5 years time, this loan book probably I think would expand at least by around 3 to 4 times. and that is where I think you would probably see the higher amount of growth coming in. On one side, you already have the valuation at 1.4 times price to book value, which is not so expensive. At the same time, with the promise of infrastructure project getting started, in such kind of a situation, I think this company would remain, I think, much more into the favorable books of investors, and they would probably try and accumulate this stock. To my mind, I think this company is still worth a buy. Of course, I think it was a grab at some point of time when we picked it up, but again, I think I would think that this is a good buy to continue holding this particular stock in 3 years and 4 years period. I would think that I think it could probably end up giving you at least 2.5 to 3 times appreciation over this 3 to 4 years time from current price levels.
So irrespective of the global environment, Devin, which are some stocks you are still recommending your clients to buy?
I'm more comfortable, Nikunj, with banks and the infrastructure NBFC companies like IDFC, REC. I'm more comfortable. I'm more comfortable with bank like State Bank of India, which is available at a valuation which is far more compelling. I don't think that the kind of situation in which we are right now in the economy is going to continue for a longer period of time, and that's where I believe that I think some of the banks would probably I think find once again favor back into the investment portfolio. Again, the infrastructure-led growth story, whenever it starts coming in, probably you would find that the bank would be a natural choice. So I think to begin with, banking space would be my first choice that I would pick it up. Otherwise, I think continue to hold my confidence in companies like Tata Motors, wherein I think the stock is still available at 6.5 times, I think, price-earning ratio, where the valuation is giving more comfortable kind of an outlook. At the same time, the growth in this company is likely to be far more higher. If you look at the domestic market portfolio, the new range of vehicles which are likely to get introduced in commercial vehicle space, and with the fall in interest rates likely to happen, again I think Tata Motors would be a company which would probably show a good amount of upside. So selective stocks like Tata Motors, some of the banks, infrastructure and NBFC companies, they would definitely, I think, demand the first look into the portfolio. And apart from that, lot of mid-cap ideas where we hold confidence that the business model is working right, they would probably perform well into the portfolio. So continue to hold them in the investment portfolios.